Is Argentina about to get a Bitcoin-friendly president? Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had an awesome weekend. I mean, to me, I guess that this was surprising. I wasn't really expecting another presidential candidate to start necessarily touting Bitcoin's virtues. But look, this is the timeline we're in, and Argentina, unfortunately for them, has had some really insane inflation rates, which we're going to take a look at. But anyways, let's dive into this news. Javier Milei demolishes electoral competition. Milei decimated the August elections with a stunning display of voter support, accumulating over 30% of the 90% of votes counted. Milei leads the Libertarian Party, La Libertad Avanza, and the party is dominated with 32% of votes. The central bank is a scam, a mechanism by which politicians cheat the good people with inflationary tax, Milei stated. The daily reality of Argentine country is filled with significant growth fluctuations, high inflation, and a deteriorating GDP. Argentina's inflation is the third highest in the world, following Venezuela and Lebanon. Reports also state that the country faces one of the worst economic crises since the Depression from 1998 to 2002. Since the beginning of 2023, the Argentine peso has lost 24% in value against the dollar, resulting in black market rates selling $1 for 500 pesos. Argentina is also in debt, owing the IMF an astonishing $44 billion. Look at that. The IMF gets to create money out of thin air. Oh, no, but somebody's going to push back on that and be like, well, no, they've got a basket of goods and currencies. That's not vapor. No, it's vapor, okay? Because essentially they are creating money out of thin air and indebting countries with it. And then those countries then have to follow the IMF's rules, okay? So this is nothing but coercion. That's all it is. Milei's approach toward adopting cryptocurrency triggers several governmental agencies, including the IMF. Yeah, the IMF doesn't like that. Only they can create debt for countries around the world and then force them into rules that they think are correct, which of course will only benefit the IMF in the long run. Anyways, you can see I can't stand the IMF. Anyways, and obviously the IMF strongly opposes Bitcoin cryptocurrency. Milei's manifesto includes plans to dollarize the country's economy, which aims to stabilize the country's native currency. Argentina's current economic crisis has also struck a nerve in Argentines, with many young citizens strongly supporting Milei's views and commitment to free market policies. Milei's win in the August primary election also does not guarantee a win in the general election. However, his victory has undoubtedly upended the country's political system and sparked conversations about Argentina's future. Okay, so this all sounds great, right? This all sounds wonderful for Argentina. You know, we saw what Nayib Bukele did in El Salvador. So El Salvador has Bitcoin as legal tender. And of course, again, I feel that I always have to state this, just because you're pro Bitcoin doesn't mean that you agree with certain political actions and certain things that happen. So just because somebody is supportive that, let's say, Nayib Bukele has Bitcoin as a legal tender, that doesn't mean that we blanket support everything this person does, right? It doesn't mean that these people cannot be evil or something like that. Anyways, and of course, I'm not trying to insinuate that there's a bunch of people that are genuinely evil, right? People are just following their incentives and trying to do the best for themselves. Shout out to Hugo Ramos, fellow Bitcoiner and pleb, and yeah, I appreciate him putting out this tweet. So here, why is everyone crazy about this guy being a fake Bitcoiner? I hope I'm wrong. That's right. Don't trust, verify. That's what it is. Now, we've also seen many countries have people that are cited on the World Economic Forum website. Some people have even stated that they didn't know that they were on the World Economic Forum website, like Elizabeth Stark from Lightning Labs. And there was a joke made about that. And again, I don't even care about that. It's neither here nor there. But what is interesting is that this person in Argentina is very much pro Bitcoin. But when we dive in a little bit deeper, okay, this is where, to me, it gets kind of weird. So first, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the skyrocketing inflation that's taking place in Argentina. The annual inflation rate in Argentina skyrocketed by 115.6% in June 2023, following a 114.2% jump in May. It marked the highest level since 1991. And I mean, look at this. This is insane. Okay, their money is essentially worth crap and is becoming increasingly worth less. Now, when a country can't pay the IMF, they simply go into default, and there's obviously a restructuring of their debt, and the story goes on. They just continue. They just simply continue to pay. There really is no magic behind it, but essentially, the IMF is another part of this giant web of the central bank, the central banking machine. Okay, it's really nothing different, right? They're creating money out of thin air under the guise of the weighted baskets of goods and services and commodities and currencies and all kinds of bullshit. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's just money printed out of thin air. Anyway, so look, as we could see, Argentina is in bad shape. So in terms of a narrative, it's kind of a good thing, right? That you see a presidential candidate stepping forward that is pro Bitcoin. Now, as Hugo alluded to, Javier Gerardo Milei is actually listed on the World Economic Forum website. All right, according to his bio here on the World Economic Forum, licentiate in economics, Universidad de Belgrano, Argentina, 2 masters in economics, Universidad Torquato de Tella, and CEDES, IDES, former head economist, Estudio Broda and Maxima. Let's see here. Advisor of the Argentine government, head economist, Corporación America. That's actually the part of it that I find very interesting. Anyways, B20, G20 advisor and member, Group of Economic Policy, ICC, G20. Since 2012, leads the Division of Economic Studies, a think tank of national scope. For more than 20 years, university professor of macroeconomics, economics of growth, microeconomics, and mathematics for economists, has written over 50 academic papers. So, creds. He's got tons of creds. Anyways, chief economist at the Corporación America International. So that's what we're going to dive into, because this is where it gets kind of weird and interesting. So keep in mind, right? Like presidential hopeful. All right. So I went to go take a look at what this Corporation America International does. Okay. So it's an Argentine-born global group and one of the world's largest airport operators by number of airports managed, running 53 airports in Latin America and Europe. Its businesses are diversified in airport development and management, infrastructure, real estate, energy, agriculture, technology, mining, financial services, and wine production. It's kind of a jack of all trades, isn't it? It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. An argument could be made that a business like this could easily facilitate money laundering amongst other things, right? Because they seem to have a pretty good foothold on transportation. Anyways, that's just my opinion. Doesn't really mean anything. But this is where it gets kind of weird. So, okay. So this Corporation America is actually a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange, ticker CAAP, and in no way am I telling people that they should invest in it. It's just part of my research. I found them. They are a publicly traded company. The stock was trading at like $2 a share. Not even, I think it was like maybe 3 years ago or something like that. Now it's sitting at like $13. Anyways, doesn't make a difference. Irrelevant. Just wanting to let people know it is a publicly traded company in the States. Okay. Let's go take a look at this Corporation America. Okay. So this is also very weird. This is their website. Okay. Their website is literally just a landing page with nothing you can really click on. Okay. Nothing you can really click on. Now, this company was founded by Eduardo Ernakian, who I had never heard of before. And of course, Eduardo, also listed on the World Economic Forum page, first Vice President, Argentine Chamber of Commerce, Chairman Raul Wallenberg Foundation, Member-elect Executive Board, ICC recipient awards and honors, including Businessman of the Year. He's got a whole bunch of Businessman of the Year awards. And we could see here, Argentine Businessmen Association Certificate of Appreciation and UNDP for role as advocate for sustainable development in 2012. The reason why I wanted to point out the World Economic Forum ties, and thank you, Hugo, for originally pointing that out. This is why. So there's two sides to this coin, or at least the way I see it. Number one, Javier may have had a change of heart. He may have seen what shitty money is doing to his country and maybe has decided that the future would look a lot brighter if it was orange and if there was Bitcoin. So that's my hope, right? That's my hopium take. My hopium take is that he had a change of heart. He's not really he's not really working for the World Economic Forum directly or indirectly, and is essentially going to do like Nayib Bukele and go up against the IMF and the rest of the central bankers. Now, the other side is this, and I think Hugo makes a good point of this, is that so none of us are better than our incentives. Right now, there's massive inflation in Argentina. People are looking for solutions, and Bitcoin is one of those, is probably the best solution for that. Okay, because let's face it, the government can't mess with it. You know, the government can't mess with it. It is completely scarce. There are only 21 million. So the argument could be made that he is maybe just orange washing his campaign in order to get the votes from the younger voters that are maybe paying attention to Bitcoin. So there's that aspect of it as well. Obviously, we want to believe the better side of this story, which is he is a Bitcoiner. He has libertarian leanings, okay, and that he is going to possibly push to implement Bitcoin as a legal tender in Argentina. I mean, to a certain extent, though, that whole thing about legal tender, I mean, it's not necessary, right? Because think about it, like it's not legal tender here in the US, and yet I can pay somebody in Bitcoin if they accept it. You know, if somebody says, hey, I accept Bitcoin and I have Bitcoin and I'm willing to pay them Bitcoin, our transaction takes place. There's nothing illegal. There's nothing wrong with that transaction. It just simply takes place. So, I mean, look, part of me, you know, I don't really care about the legal tender aspect. I think it's much more about perspective and essentially perception, right? It is the perception of, you know, when you say Bitcoin's legal tender in this country, the normies can point to it and say, well, you see, now Bitcoin's legal tender in 2 countries. So there's that aspect of it as well. I'm not necessarily very hopeful. This guy and his old boss from the Corporation America International, they're all hooked up in the World Economic Forum. They are both part of these massive think tanks where they are all incentivized to do each other favors. I wouldn't hold my breath. I am pleased that we got some good news, but let's stay vigilant and let's not fall for the hopium too hard. Anyways, that does it for our clip today. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I will catch you all tomorrow.